It is a perfect day to make an episode like this. I just got my computer fixed, so we've addressed that issue, and man, what a weird issue it was. I'm gonna take a couple seconds actually to tell you guys the story of what happened to the computer, so you guys have a couple extra seconds to get yourself logged in. I do want to note I am not putting any advertising on this video, nor do I intend to monetize this video at all. There's a major announcement we have to make in regards to the channel, and it's only fair that you guys don't have to get through a wall of ads in order to do that. Now that said, we will be addressing your questions in the comment section, so please by all means fill it up with some questions. All I ask is that you put in capital letters before your question the word question, so it'll be question colon and ask your question. I will address it a little later on in the show. Of course, I'm sure you guys are all dying to hear what my announcement it is, but that said, let's get to the story of my computer before we start that. So what happened to my computer? Well, I had an old tower, and I'm talking 3-4 years old now. That's not so old in the sense of I built my own computer years. That's okay. On that, I had a couple USB ports that just stopped working after changing a power supply and the motherboard on my computer. So I thought it would be a brilliant idea one day to finally get off my butt and get those USB ports working. And little did I realize the fact that I don't turn off my computer was the only thing keeping my computer fully functional. There was a wire that had snapped to my my power cable, to the power button. And what ended up happening is, well, I couldn't turn my computer back on after trying to fix things. So that led to some little annoyances that led to the unfortunate shutdown of the channel for about a week and a half. We're through all of that right now, and we're back in action, to say the least. Hopefully soon. We have a little bit of filming and editing to do, but here I am, and you should see me on the Meta Lab very quickly. I'm actually just going to address the chat because they are saying it says still waiting to start. Can you guys see me yet? I don't know how long the delay is on these things sometimes, and it's very difficult to say the least and deal with. So let's just make sure it has started. All right. I'm a little solo, so I don't know what's going on. I don't have a bunch of people that I'm working with. Okay, so according to the chat, we haven't quite gone live yet. Did I set a delay that I shouldn't have set? This is the beauty of live solo. If you're stream status is a little weak, it's probably why. Okay, health is good. 16 viewers, average length an hour and a minute and a half. Well, that's how long it's been going on. All right, somebody sees me. We're all seeing me yet. Oh boy. So anyway, I'm still kind of yapping my way through this so that everybody gets a chance to get me and my attention. I want to make the announcement with as many possible viewers as I can, even though this will be archived on the YouTube channel. But that being said, we have my computer working. We should get content out to you guys soon. I will be back on the Meta Lab. The Meta Lab will be back next week. I apologize for my absence the week before. I apologize for my absence being a part of the cause of us not getting an episode last week. I can't fault Tom and Mike. They have real life and real jobs as well. And you know, I mean, part of the weight is on me. It didn't help, of course. All the computer issues were also compacted with Amber's computer also breaking down. So it's been a heck of a computer problem filled week, to say the least. And Amber's was the first and easiest fix. We had to just switch a SATA port to her hard drive, and everything was good. Right now, you guys are dealing with story time while I get as much of you people live as we can. Okay, so we're at the peak of the number of views that we've had in a long time. So I guess it's time to make my official announcement. Effective January 9th, ladies and gentlemen, I have a brand new job. That job, without getting into too many details, is in fact in the video game industry. Now, those of you familiar with the video game industry as a whole, you do understand that there are stories that come from the video game industry that do involve a large number of hours of work. And part of that is, of course, the love of the industry and the love of the job, et cetera, et cetera. That being said, I am going to throw myself at this job tenfold. And it's exciting news because, again, I'm not going to get into details about who directly I work for because that leads into a miasma of questions, and it's dangerous enough to have a YouTube channel and a job in an industry as secretive as the video game industry. So to say the least, I'm not going to go into details, but it is definitely one of my top 4 dream companies to work for, and I'm very excited about that. So that said, what does that mean for Jason as far as Married with Clicks is concerned? I will probably be dropping my personal attendance on the shows. I will that's why part of the reason we've been seeing Mike do a little bit more of the hosting duties, a little bit more of my work on the Metal Lab, is because, this has been in the works for a little bit. It's actually been a slow process. I got into the interview process late September would have been my first part of the interview process. So as you can imagine, when you say I start January 9th, it's been ongoing for a long time, and it's been something that we've been sort of preparing for a fair bit. Now, as well, part of the housekeeping of that, November is officially the last month that we can run the patron program or the Patreon. Now, if you did pay in November, we are going to make sure you get your rewards one way or another, even if it is in that first week of January, as we got a lot of pickup to do for that. But if you were a patron for the month of November, you paid at the beginning of December, that is the last month we will be operating the Patreon program. For a number of reasons. One of which is we can't keep any of the promises. We've had a hard enough time keeping the promises that we have been keeping, to say the least. But we also can't keep a lot of the promises that do involve the Patreon program as it stands. So on that, we're going to take it on ourselves to, pay for Adobe Premiere. It's not too much of an expense at this point, especially when you consider that the job I'm getting does come with a sizable raise. It's good news and it's bad news, right? So yeah, unfortunately, a lot of everything in regards to the Patreon program does have to go away for that reason. Now, that said, I have talked to Mike with the Metal Lab, and I'm sure he'll talk to the other guys. They may start their own separate Patreon program. They haven't made a decision on that yet. I ran it by Mike, and it's up to him and Tom and Jay to decide whether or not they're going to be able to do that. As well, I won't be able to commit myself to any live content because I will be working long days. And I'm not even sure what the company policy in regards to having a YouTube channel even includes, because those of you also who might be familiar with the video game industry will understand that the phrase NDA has a very strict meaning in this industry. I haven't even signed anything, but I'm just trying to be as secretive as possible so that I don't get in trouble before I start my job, as you can imagine. So with all that being said, I do not intend under any circumstance to quit the game of HeroClix. I will still be playing the game of HeroClix because I love that game. I will still occasionally appear on the channel when time does permit and life does permit and the job does let me out for whatever small amount of time it does. But my involvement with the channel will be so part-time at this point that I will seem like a guest on my own show, to say the least. So with that said, Amber is going to try to do her best to keep things going. I expect games to be a rarity on the channel. I expect Metafix to. I might even just, have Amber become my voice for Metafix. At worst case scenario, we're not going to lose the name Married with Clicks because that's still who we are. You might not see me in as major events and as many major events going forward as I used to be in, and yeah, I'm going to be a ghost on my own channel because I got one of my dream jobs, right? I mean, how can I argue with that? So on that note, I do have a couple questions ahead of time. We're going to open up the floor to questions as far as things are concerned. If you have any questions, I can tell you now, I'm not going to tell you who I work for. I'm not going to tell you a number of things pertaining to that job in particular. If you want to ask what I plan on doing, I can, like, what my job will be. That's cool. I'll let you guys know that if you want to know that. But that said, I do want to address the questions I got asked on Facebook when we first announced this. I will be reading the chat to find out what's up and what's going on, and we'll go from there. So first on the Facebook, Christopher Smotherman asks, goes on to say, change is almost always good. I've been really enjoying what you guys spawn across the nation with people showing their matches on YouTube. Could more pre-game-esque matches be in the works for the future? I can't tell you how much I enjoyed watching and commenting on Mike and Tom's matches before the Meta Lab. I would love to see some Canadian-style superhero showdowns. I learned more about the game and how to be competitive by watching videos than I do anything else. Thanks for everything. And Mike does go on to mention that him and Tom are planning on working the pre-game show back into the schedule. Schedules in real life, unfortunately, have gotten in the way of that feature of the Meta Lab, and that is why we haven't been able to manage that with you guys. So they're working on it, and we're gonna figure it out from there the best that we can. Next, my longtime friend and best man at my wedding, Chris Pazantian, he wants to ask, are you finally going to change the Meta Lab to meta up your ass? Chris, that's not even funny. Eric Wadsworth, the anticipation is killing me. I'll try to be in chat tonight. Talk with you. So I hope you're in there, Eric. And by all means, blast away with some of your questions if you have any in regards to this. Mike Fedor, will patron money fund new computer equipment? No, that came out of my pocket. Ultimately, what I tried to fix if you weren't here for the beginning, I'll explain immediately right now. I apologize if you're watching this again from the archive view. My computer had some dead USB ports on the top. And, oh, hey, Eric is Alpha Strike Hero Clicks. You got to remember that. I had some dead USB ports on top of my computer. When I opened them up to check out what was wrong, of course, you power down your computer, unplug it, and everything like that. I discovered that those USBs were also attached to the wiring to the power button, and the power button had a snapped wire, and therefore I couldn't turn my computer back on. So I had to replace my tower. The replacement cost for my tower was a grand total of $40. It didn't come out of the patron money. It came out of my own pocket because it is my computer, my personal gaming rig, my programming rig, it is my personal beast. In fact, at this point, the only things that are part of the original build on this will be the hard drive and the graphics card. And the next one to get changed will be my graphics card, of course. And I will always go full end on that one. All right. Jeff Bozeman goes on to say, So yes, once again, patron money did not fund my brand new box or dress, as I like to call it, around my computer. The only thing in life that is inevitable is change. I look forward to what you have to share with us, as it's always helpful, interesting, entertaining all the time. Ever since I stopped wearing collars on the shirt, it gets awkward to try to pull these things. There seems to be been a talk of this off and on and for a good while now, considering what point value the modern meta game should be played at. I seem to be going back and forth between 300 and 400 as I see strengths in both. What is your opinion? And could you tell us why you feel as you do regarding which point value you think it should be played at? Oh, well, a nice light question actually regards the game. I personally believe that 300 points should be the standard modern until WizKids admits that they focus their design at another point value. I have had conversations, and 300 points is where they focus the game design. And going beyond that gets out of their focus and really doesn't put them in a place to kind of immediately switch that. So I want to put it on them in their case to, put their money where their mouth is and keep designing in that design space that they claim to be designing in. If their design actually extends beyond that, one, we got to hold them accountable for that, which we often do. And they have been doing a lot better as far as fixing things. It's unfortunate that errata has been a regular fix to things in the game. But, I personally believe that if they were designing at 300, that's where competition should be, because that's where game design is focused, and that's where where less nonsense should occur. And it is a good focus point value to maintain that. Now, once you get into 400 in the current game, and once you get beyond where their design space is, that's where wacky things start to happen, and that's why they maintain the competitive game in the levels that they do. That's just like game design in general. So the first actual question from the chat, and if you guys are watching live in the chat, like I said, put the word question, colon, and then write your question out so that it flags to me like, oh, there's a question there that I have to answer for you guys. That helps me and gets the answer out to you the best you can. And this is Ask Me Anything. If you want to ask my shirt size, by all means, I'll answer that. The only thing I will not answer is the new company that I will be working for starting January 9th, which is part of the reason that I'm doing this with you guys. But I blame my roles. Says, what can we do to help the channel? I know that things will change, but I'm sure I'm not alone in wanting to keep your community vibrant and alive. We haven't really addressed how we're going to readapt the channel in my absence. Obviously, when I say the Patreon program is being shut down, that's because 100% of the Patreon program was my responsibility. And Amber already does have a stack of responsibilities when it comes to editing and a number of other things. If we do want to maintain some level of community, we'll see how that goes, and go from there. And I do just, we'll do our best to maintain the channel as is. If we see an area where we could use some help, we'll probably get some help. I know the person who's actually asking the question. Do you mind if I use your name? I blame my rules, but he's actually been running Twitch streams with another common face in our chat. That would be Pedro. And I'm not sure how you guys have been doing with that. I haven't been tracking, unfortunately, because I've been busy with a number of things myself, and I also haven't been able to do a lot of things I wanted to through just my phone. So, that said, if you guys want to help directly, continue to watch the channel, because that is an important element in the success of this, because we're on YouTube. Sorry, and it's Thomas. Thomas and Pedro have been doing live streams through Twitch TV. They've been using our Facebook to kind of make some noise about it. I might hand you guys the Twitch stream because we don't use it, or we won't be able to use it as well as we used to. We'll see. We'll have a conversation about that, because there's got to be a number of things that we have to do with security wise, and go from there. So yeah, if you guys want to send me an email later on, Thomas and Pedro, we'll talk about some kind of community level to the Twitch stream, and possibly getting that added to YouTube. We've also considered the idea of community submissions for games. The problem with that is that we aren't sure how we can easily monetize that to help out, because who knows, right? It's a very difficult process, because right now We have 2,000 subscribers, by the way, which was exciting news to receive while your computer is broken. It's really great way to feel guilty. It's like, oh, 2,000 subscribers, huh? But that's in the world of YouTube, that's not huge, which means right now we're still at the level of making micro pennies, and maybe every 6 months, cracking $100, which is great. Thank you guys for watching, etc. Also, another way that you guys can help the channel is when you do watch, feel free to pause ad block for YouTube, because YouTube does track that, and that does help throw those micro pennies our way as well. But also, if you're a YouTube Red member, you're helping us a lot just by watching, because YouTube Red revenue does come our way as well if you're a member of the YouTube Red. So there's a number of ways you can directly support the channel on the long term until we can safely turn around and start up the Patreon again. Or we could just turn around and say, hey, we're going to keep the Patreon. Well, I mean, I'm going to address this to the patrons on next Friday when we have our patron hangout. But I do want to also bring up the idea that we maybe just turn the Patreon back to what Patreon's business model is just a way of getting some extra income without promising much in the way of physical product, because we can't. We're going to be hard pressed to meet physical demands outside of maybe a patron hangout that might not involve me. We'll see. There's a lot of conversations we have to have with each other and with our patrons as far as that program is concerned. So we'll go from there. So yeah, Thomas, it's a great question, and we're working on a number of things to keep the channel alive, with me going super part-time. All right. Next up, William McMillan. What will you be doing? I'm sure he attends to specifically the job, and while I won't say the company, some companies call it level design, others call it other names, but generally my job will be level design for the company I'm going to be working for, which will be designing missions, designing maps, designing levels, making sure that the player's point A to B matches up with the designer's goals. There'll be a little level of scripting, which is a little higher level than I've been trained for, which is okay. That should make it easy for me on that level. So we'll keep an eye on that. Don't have to keep an eye on that. That's gonna be my job. Beyond that, you won't know what I'm working on until you see my name in the credits of a game. Should I get there, I can tell you that the company I will be working for is one of the big ones. That's for sure. So, but that's all you're getting out of me. Diego Pinto de Luz asks, will I become a porn star? Hey, if Ron Jeremy can do it. Pedro says he's okay. No, I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna address questions. And so remember, flag it question : with whatever question that you do want to ask. And I this one looks like a question, but I'm just gonna read it off because this is also William McMillan who asked the "What will I be doing?" question. If you designed a new HeroClix piece based off your channel, I'm thinking an exact sculpt of you and Amber with duo attack. What would be the special power for the piece? Well, if we're talking about a duo attack one, something to the level of perplex, outwit, probability control as a free action choice kind of thing. Just to represent, our knowledge of the game to that degree. The attack value is going to be ridiculously low. Because whenever it counts, I can't seem to make a hit for the life of me. Let me tell you about this past Saturday, we had a tournament, very strict build requirements, etc. And 10 shape change rolls were made against me, and 2 of them failed. So yeah, I have my problems with rolls. So the attack value will probably be pretty low. Defense will be. It's going to be hard to say because Amber is tiny, but certainly am not tiny by any sense of the phrase. And I mean, I'm worried about my chair under me, to say the least. So we'll I think I feel like we've played with this before as making us a duo. We might actually just kind of work off the mechanics of the Power Man and Iron Fist and just make a half dial for Amber and a half dial for me and just work from there. Where the half dial from Amber has tiny size. She's 5 feet tall, guys. Come on now. That also has outwit or probability control. Whereas I will be perplexed because, Jason, how can you manage this many figures? I will also have flurry. Just any number of ways to get any number of attacks that I could possibly get at you, but they will be with an 8 attack, whereas Amber will be at like a 12 attack. So I don't know. We've kind of come up with ideas like this before in the past. I know we'd actually, in our tired stupor, on our way back from the Winamap in Ottawa, we'd actually designed pogs for each of us and the figure and each of us on the Metal Lab and Married with Clicks. Tom ended up being a transporter, and because he drives us all to all the places. Can't remember what Perplex was one of his powers because he always brings a team that confuses me at first. I actually can't remember the dials off the top of my head. I do remember Mike was something akin to impervious psychic blast, like a ton of damage. Like he was the biggest, strongest one of the bunch because at the time he was known very, very greatly for his tentpole style of play. And we'll never let him forget that or forgive him for it. But I think we also added outwit because he doesn't like anybody else playing the game. Anyway, there's a number of things that we did with regards to those bystanders. I wish I kind of still had them handy to share with you guys because that was an idea we had for the patron program, but it just kind of went by the wayside. And I never got around to our token guy to deal with that. And I got distracted by it. So we could very well still see those pogs, as William does go on to say he would buy them. We're working on that. So. All right. Pedro does go on to ask again, can you tell what the job is generally with no personal details or company names? So, as I said earlier, the job is going to be titled basically, though my company doesn't use that title, the job is basically called level design. My job will be to put assets in the right place, to script out missions or goals in the game. Generally just taking what a coder and an artist have put together, putting it in the right places. Basically, imagine the dungeon master in D&D running a campaign written by somebody else. The guy that wrote that campaign, that guy is the designer. I'm using his tools to make what you guys see. Whereas the game programmer writes all the systems that make the game function, and that guy wrote the player's handbook, along with the Dungeon Master's Guide. and I'm using a D&D reference. I hope it kind of makes sense. And the artists, of course, draw the pretty pictures and give you the visual elements that you guys are familiar with. So, for instance, when you guys play Battlefield, a programmer wrote all the functions of that character. The artist made all those functions work, and the game scripter put it where it needed to be, or put the wall in between you guys as well, because the artist drew a wall, the programmer programmed a wall. I put that wall there, and you hate me for putting that wall there because it got in the way of your bullet. I hope that kind of gives you an idea of what I'll be doing for the video game company I'll be working for. Lurker ERS says, or asks, will you be able to put a clicks reference into the level? If I do that, it would have to be so obscure, so weird that, one, you'd have to know that I worked on the game. Two, it would have to blow over everybody I work for's head, and nobody can see it. And it would take such a level of detail that you're gonna miss it as a clicks player the first 4 or 5 times. Because to be brutally honest, that's a hard thing to put over on somebody. And as well, I only have certain level of control of the assets. I'll be able to put things in its place, but I'm not gonna make any particular imagery in it per se. Though goodness knows there might be an area or a level that has 6 elevations or 6 levels to a mountain to get up or something like that. And might be called Tuyur. I think that's how you spell Ryut backwards. I don't know. So I'll do my best. I'll do my best. I might throw more comic references, but ultimately, one thing worth noting too, I don't have a whole lot of creative control in my position as far as writing is concerned or script writing. Like when I say scripting, I'm talking about code or kind of A to B. I'm not writing lines of dialogue for actors to speak into. I'm not writing story elements too. And so my job is going to be very difficult in order to get those click references in. But I tell you what I will do. If you're familiar with Battle Royale maps, and if I get any multiplayer maps assigned to me, you might recognize some of the maps that you see in multiplayer, to say the least. How's that work? I'll do my best, though, if I get a multiplayer title or multiplayer task. So, next up, I Blame My Roles asks another question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy is Amber for you? She's sitting at about a hard 78, 79 right now out of 10. She is super excited. One, the job financially covers a lot of the bases that we've had a hard time with. We do one thing I don't know a lot of people know, or if I've mentioned it enough. We do have 3 wonderful children. We have an 8-year-old daughter, and we have twin 3-year-old going on 4 boys. So we have our hands full with children, and the channel and life in general, and the little bit of extra money that Amber has been able to bring in with her current job has helped, but it's been a drop in the bucket as far as what we need. Where I'm going kind of helps the situation we've been in financially without her having to work, which excites her to a great degree because we're going to spend next year, which is the first year our boys are in school. They will be in junior kindergarten. That they will get a chance to go to school. Amber gets a year to adapt to them being in school. We get an idea of their schedules and everything like that. And then from there, Amber will be going back to school when the boys are in senior kindergarten, the second year of kindergarten that we have here, in order to sorry, I lost my train. In order to go back to school, because Amber wants to go to school for film. She's had a lot of fun doing the film editing for the channel. And because of that, that's really encouraged her to get into film. As well, she had a number of, she's always had an interest in doing something for film. At one point, it was makeup for film. At another point, it was costume for film. The school I went to for video game programming, and initially when I got a job when I got a job as a chef, is the school that also offers this course that she's interested in. So that goes it does help a long way to getting her getting a double income that we all need nowadays with a multitude of kids to get through life. So she's excited to start getting into her idea for a career, and she's really excited that after all the work I've put into getting my career, doing the schoolwork, because I put hours upon hours upon hours into the schoolwork. I tried my best at doing some unpaid internships, but unfortunately I've had to take the job that pays. So still in tech, this was the job I've been doing for 3 years now has been software QA, which is just a small element of the work or the money, or sorry, small amount of the tech knowledge that I have gained. And even then, the career I'm going into, the job I'm going into at the company I'm going to be working for is what's the word I'm looking for? It's not as much tech as I learned at school, but there's room to grow at a company like this as well. And there's, or room to parallelize, which my nose with a little bit, who knows, whatever, right? I've lost my track a couple times. One of the things that you guys aren't hearing, which is why they're wearing their headphones, is I do get pinged on Facebook every so often. Some of it with questions. Some of you guys give me well wishes. I do appreciate the well wishes I have been getting. It's always a little scary when you've been doing a channel like this, and you have to tell people that you do have to step away from your place in it. Sometimes you get a little scared. It's like, how are people going to react? This is the internet after all. I've seen some things. Trust me, guys. I've been on 4chan. All right. So next up, William McMillan. Did you try out Mother's Restaurant in New Orleans? That sounds familiar. William in the chat, just throw out location-wise. Is that in the French Quarter? Because we didn't leave the French Quarter, really, except one day when we went to Crescent City Comics to check if the Ninja Turtle set had come out yet. And they didn't get it. So imagine my letdown on that one. So Mother's Restaurant, that's like, it's so weird because there's so many restaurants in New Orleans that sound like that kind of homey name. Okay, no, not Mother's Restaurant in Toronto, in Hamilton. Oh my goodness. Okay, no, we did not get a chance to eat at Mother's Restaurant. That looks a little out of where we were. Yeah, no. So I have no idea, honestly. We didn't eat there. I don't know where it is off the top of my head. But it is not one of the places that we ate. Sorry. Next up, Chiego Pinto de Luz. Are you teaching clicks to the kids? I have begun the early stages of teaching my daughter Alexis the game of Hero Clicks. She does have her own little collection made up of a lot of our extras. Keeping her attention for a long period of time has been an issue as far as the game's concerned. She does love board games, but we play a lot of half-hour, off-the-cuff, quick board games. So, it goes to how it's going. So yes, we're teaching Alexis. We're going to teach the boys because my son loves sorting his own little collection of our extras as well. We'll get there, but I don't know if I'm going to be around enough to teach them. That is another issue we're addressing. I've had to sit down with my daughter. My boys aren't quite at that age where they comprehend this just yet, but I had to sit down with my daughter Alexis and explain to her that Daddy's not going to be around as much as he used to be. There's going to be a lot of long nights where you might not even see him before bed. There's a plus side that actually goes into William's next question, which is, am I staying in the same city or moving? I am actually staying exactly where I am and going nowhere. And in fact, the commute to where I'm going is a lot closer to where I live right now than the job I have right now. What that means is, because of the nature of salary work, tech work, they don't mind sometimes if you disappear for a quick hour or half hour to go say, hey, by the way, guys, I need to go deal with the thing. I need to make sure my kids know I'm alive, or need to go quickly tuck them in. I know we've all been late, but let me just go do this and we'll be fine. Or just go quickly. I might be able to help in the morning with the schools and whatnot, or dropping them off at school. So we'll go from there. But anyway, yeah. So I don't have to move at all, which makes my commute 1,000 times easier. My commute, the train to where I currently work, the office I work at, is an hour. Now, where I'm working now for my company, because it's a consultancy and I'm on site, is half an hour now. Where I'm going to be going is a 15-minute commute at best, and that's probably going to be in the snow during a snowstorm when the train driver can't see for anything. It's going to be a fantastic, wonderful change for me, to say the least. And I couldn't ask for a better situation to be in as far as where I'm going and where it is to me. No, Lurker, you cannot burn the channel to the ground. Can you do that? I guess you'd have to go into YouTube server, find out which server blade we're on, find out the node that we're on that server blade, and burn that down. It's a lot of gigabytes. It's a lot of video on here. Again, guys, by all means, feel free to throw in a question in the chat. Just put the word question beforehand, and we can keep going on this, or we can look to wrap it up. See if anything else has popped up on Facebook. Oh my goodness! Thanks, guys, again for the support. Appreciate it. This is weird. I don't usually do these things alone. I usually just let somebody else vamp or give them something to talk about for a long period of time while I get myself organized to find the next thing I'm going to talk about. Oh, you guys are Furious Crowd? I thought that was just the crazy people who live next to me. They're just loud, so I figured it was just them. But if it's you guys, I'll go out and see you. And Diego, for a guy who, think about how much I complain about having to travel to the U.S. for big events. You're coming from Brazil. Jeez, man. That's way far south. Got to keep myself going on this one here, guys. All right. But if they're, here we go. What brand of drink is that? Canadian only. Red Rain. It is, every time there's an energy drink, there's generally a something in the middle of that. Red Rain being my cheap version of Red Bull. This is literally like the dollar store version of Red Bull. You can get this for $1 a can at the dollar store. I buy this. The people at the dollar store look at me with just this look of disgust. Like, really, you're buying this much? I buy like a dozen of them there. And just walk out with a big happy look on my face. There are stores that sell them in bulk too, and I could probably get them for about half of that price. It's just a matter of because I still lack a vehicle, I can't get out to those places. Though we'll see how the vehicle issue goes with as far as the new career is concerned. Which is part of the reason why I'm doing this. If you guys are just tuning in now, so yes, this is Red Rain. This is poor man's Red Bull. If you cannot afford the Red Bull, you get the Red Rain. It is delicious. That was one of those jokes Tom always said, is if we were to get a sponsor, we should get Red Bull. And if they have any questions as to why they should be sponsoring it, I should just cut my wrist. I got the tabs open for you, buddy. It also explains why my children are crazy. We think this stuff, actually, we're starting to decide that, or based on just, our small focus group here, that my energy drink consumption style has actually led to it getting into my DNA, and I had passed that on to my children. I've seen my daughter jump up and down in the same spot for an hour, not stopping. I tell her to stop because she's wearing me out when she does it. Or it gives her the idea that she can jump when we're goofing around and she's like sitting on my lap or something, or standing on my knee or something, because then that jump, where that jump leads, guys, where we all know where that goes. Ooh, ouch. It hurts. Both feet planted. Anyway, now I'm making everybody uncomfortable. There is an ambulance just outside of my place. What is going on at the park near my place? Huh. Weird. Sorry, I got literally distracted by flashing lights. Sorry about that. What is wrong with me today? Oh, man. Let me go solo. Okay, I've babbled enough, guys. I want to thank you guys for spending a little time with me, letting me go on at length. Thank you guys for, taking the news well. I know it's not always great to hear that, somebody you're watching on the YouTubes has got to step away a little bit, but I'm not disappearing altogether. I'm not quitting the Gaming HeroClix either. But my face on the channel is going to be more of a treat than it was starting January 9th, which is when I officially start. So for the next couple of weeks, we're going to try to pump out as much content as we can. The week before I start, I've taken my own little vacation to get myself ready to go. So we'll do my best to pump out some extra content for you guys. I'm going to try to get as much as I can banked up for you guys to see if we can make it so it doesn't feel like I was gone at all. and see what goes on from there. So with that, guys, I want to say thank you guys for joining me on this little AMA. Again, there will be no advertising, no sponsors for this one because I just need to make this known, and we don't need to collect money on this one. So thank you guys a million for all the time that you spent with the channel. It's going to be a hard adjustment for myself, I'm sure, because it's going back to working my butt off like I used to do in the restaurant industry. But it's for something I really love, which is making games, be it video or other. I will always happily jump into that whole field of games and make them. I love games in all forms, and I can't wait to be part of the creation process. So without further ado, guys, have a good evening, and we'll see you guys on Monday. I will be back on the Metal Lab for that. Have a good night, guys.